All right, writers. So we are near the end of our fairy tale writing unit. We have just one more bend in our unit. So usually, as I'm sure you've noticed, when we start a new bend in our unit, that usually tends to signal that we are going to be writing a new piece, which we will be doing today. So you will have a little more than a week, not just to adapt someone else's fairy tale, but to also write your own. And I'm really excited to see how these brand new fairy tales will take shape. So today, your goal is good writers know that writing a fairy tale takes hard work, and all fairy tales have a magical formula, kind of three important parts, oh goodness, that all fairy tales follow. So there's a character that has traits and wants. There's a dose of trouble and more trouble and more trouble. And then somehow that magic part, there's a resolution, the problem gets solved. When you write your own fairy tale, you could start by looking at what you've written before. If you have any notes or sticky notes that you've been using throughout this, you can probably even think of right now all the different parts that a good fairy tale needs. You know, in the beginning, there's a narrator who gives the background. And the first scene, there's action, there's dialogue, and the list goes on. And in the long run, you will want to remember those things and make sure that you have them. But the thing about a fairy tale is that it needs to include each ingredient, each part of that magical formula from the beginning. So a fairy tale writer needs to think about the whole story. So remember, there is first a character who wants something. Then there's trouble, usually in the form of a problem, and possibly even more trouble could come from that. There could be multiple problems that a character has to face. And then there's a resolution. You can plan your whole story using this magical formula in your mind or on your fingers, whatever works best for you. So I want you to think to yourself the three ingredients in this formula. Who is your story going to be about? What does he or she want? What's the trouble? And how is it going to get resolved? So we are in the beginning phase of writing your own fairy tale. And I know your idea will probably change a bunch of times over the next few, even minutes, as you start thinking about your fairy tale. What I do want you to suggest is that when you open up this document and you'll have a copy to kind of write your thoughts down, think of multiple fairy tales. I want you to have more than just one idea. So once you've thought of one, I want you to think about another one. I want you to come up with at least 3 different fairy tales today, 3 different versions. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, what if I can't come up with my own fairy tale? Can I do another fairy tale adaptation? And the answer is yes, of course you can. If you want to pick a classic fairy tale, I do want it to be a different fairy tale than what you've used before. So if you use Cinderella for the last fairy tale adaptation, I want you to pick a different fairy tale. There's a lot of different fairy tale books on Epic if you're stuck on what fairy tale to do. Or you can come up with your own fairy tale individually, all on your own. So on this document, it has the 3 parts of that magical formula. The character that wants something, there's trouble, and then there's a resolution. The trouble gets solved. I want you to come up with 3 different ideas for a fairy tale. If you want to do a fairy tale adaptation and then 2 ideas of your own, that's great. If you want to do 3 fairy tale adaptations, if you want 3 ideas of your own, whatever works best for you. I want you to use this box on the Google Doc to fill in what are your 3 different fairy tale ideas that you have. If you have more than 3 ideas, feel free to write them at the bottom of the box or in your notebook on a piece of paper. If you think about it later after you've submitted this assignment, just jot it down because you can definitely use that tomorrow. So that is your writing objective for today. Good luck.